welcome everyone to our first WOW webinar, Words of Wisdom, in a series of 6. We're so happy that you're here and joining us today. Special thank you to our guests, Leann and Erin, for sharing their experiences here today. And also thank you both for participating in our WXN Wisdom Mentoring Program in 2019. We really appreciate that. So just to get going here, basically we've all had mentors in our lives, you know, whether it's organic or structured. And I know we're really interested to hear your experience through the Wisdom Mentoring Program. I know I had a mentor years and years ago, and I'm so thankful for him for helping me through my first business initiative. Also, you know, when you look at mentors, sometimes you don't even know they're there. You know, you think, oh, they just happen. You know, my mom is a mentor of mine, and my sister was as well. So, you know, if we really look around, we have more mentors in our lives than we really think about. You know, Oprah Winfrey had Maya Angelou, and Plato and Aristotle had Socrates, and even Harry Potter had Albus Dumbledore. So if these examples teach us anything, it's that no one succeeds on their own, and greatness may be a destination, but it's our mentors who get us there. So our mentors help us in so many ways. I'm sure you've experienced this in your journey last year. You know, they share their experiences with us, you know, the good and the bad, and I'm sure Leann and the ugly too, right? And they'd really challenge us to look at ourselves in new ways. And they help us to really plot out our career or our path forward, which is so very, very important. And I think they also teach us new skills and knowledge as we're going along. But also, you know, mentorship is not just a one-way street, and I'm sure you both found that. And I love to hear your thoughts and opinions on that. But it is a two-way street, because I do know that being a mentor myself in the past, I have learned so much from my mentee and vice versa. So I really am looking forward to hearing your stories today. So that's why today we're going to start shortly, and we've asked Leann, who is one of our very own Canada's Most Powerful Women Top 100, and we're very proud to have her in our WXN family. And Erin, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm really looking forward to hearing and exploring the power of the mentee-mentor connection. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is if you could please introduce yourself, give us a little bit about your background. That would be great. So Leann, if I could ask you to start, please, and just give us a little intro.
Sure. My name's Leann, as you said. I actually live in Calgary. Grew up on an acreage north of Edmonton, so nobody really lived near us. Went to a little country school, but always had great mentors in my life. I mean, I think of people, you know, my parents, my sister, my aunts, so many different people. I ended up moving to Calgary in 1986 to go to university. At the time, my dad was funny. He told me, I got accepted to University of Calgary social work. And he goes, you'll never be a social worker. And I go, okay, Dad, I'm going. So that actually, I went. I truly was never a social worker, but it changed my life. I ended up working for an alderman who became mayor, worked for him for over a decade. I've been in economic development pretty much that whole time. And now I've been running our provincial association since 2009 and do a lot of work in disaster recovery for communities. So that's my background.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Erin, can you share a little bit about yourself with us?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Erin Crerar, and I'm a professional geologist by background and have spent the last 17 years working in Alberta's energy industry in both technical and leadership roles. I have a bachelor's of science from the University of Alberta and a master's of science from the University of Ottawa. And yeah, the last, I guess 5-6 years I've spent in more leadership positions in the energy industry, and really just enjoy, you know, leading people and leading teams, and have enjoyed that opportunity to progress my career. So.
Very one. That's great. A geologist.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you. That's amazing. Okay, so I want you to tell me about, did you know each other? I know you're both from Calgary. Did you know each other prior to this? No? Okay, so could you just give me a little high level view of your first meeting? You know, how did that go? How did you become meeting somebody for the first time, become familiar with one another? Like, what was that meeting like? That was way before COVID, so you probably couldn't see each other. You want to just tell us how that went?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it'd be good to get both of our perspectives and see if we have the same one. But yeah, I mean, I remember connecting with Leann on LinkedIn and through email, and it was kind of a blind date, like essentially at the Starbucks. And, you know, it was, you know, I know for me, it was my first experience to kind of have a mentor that I had never met before. And I knew only just by name and by profile. So yeah, we met together, and, you know, I think I was definitely put at ease pretty quickly, because Leann's very warm, right? And you know, very authentic and real person, you know, doesn't have airs, and doesn't, you know, made me feel very comfortable, you know, in a situation that could be quite uncomfortable when you've never met and you're supposed to have a connection and talk about each other's background. So
was the connection immediate then? Do you find it was immediate connection?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was, it was great to have that connection right away, I think. So
I know for me, even before meeting Erin, I was concerned when they said, you know, this would be the profile. And I thought, I don't know anything about the oil and gas industry. I've lived in Alberta my entire life, but I've never been in the industry. I thought, I hope she doesn't want that kind of mentorship, because I would suck. So then they, you know, your staff said, no, this is what it's about. And, you know, you bring a whole different perspective. So I thought, okay, so if that's what will work, then I can do that. So, you know, meeting Erin too, it was just, I mean, we met at a Starbucks, so that's pretty easy. And just really, to me, because I've worked with so many women over the years, I know that it doesn't matter what job you're in right now or what your career is right now, you got so much going on, you got family, you got kids, I mean, you have way too much on your plate. And so you have a life and a work life, and it's just the whole thing's intertwined. And so I thought, I get that. And I see, you know, with Erin at her point in her career, I thought, oh, I'm glad to be past that part, but it's tough. And just being honest and open and talking through challenges, no matter what they are, that I think is a huge value for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I would probably have the same concern as well as you, Leann, if I was put with a geologist or something, because that's like, I sucked at science in high school, right? Like, I'm sorry, I can't help you there.
But I mean, on that note, like, I think I agree with Leann. I mean, it's interesting that, you know, her initial perspective is, you know, I don't know anything about this. What am I supposed to do? And my perspective was, I don't know anything about her. How are we going to connect? But I mean, I think that's what's really, was really great about being able to be connected with Leann is I would never have run into her in kind of my own professional circles. And, you know, I wasn't bent on, you know, having 17 years in the oil and gas industry, you know, I had a good circle of connections there, and I was very open to something else, because there's a whole other group that you can be connected with and other people that you can meet. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't, you're a leader in whatever industry you're in, it doesn't really matter. And so, you know, I think having the opportunity to meet someone from a completely different background and industry is really empowering, because it gives you a broader perspective, something you would never have get, you know, if I was matched with someone who had a very similar career path than me, you know, my perspective could have been a lot narrower of what I could have got from someone. And so, you know, it's great to just be open to something totally different and learn about something different. So
great. Perfect. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. So, Erin, my first question is for you. Why did you seek out a mentor? What triggered that for you?
Yeah, so so at the time I had been in essentially frontline leadership positions for about 5 years, and I was really looking to grow and expand my responsibilities. And with this, I had a lot of excitement for any sort of career development opportunities, any leadership development opportunities. And with that excitement, I also had feelings of uncertainty of, well, can I take the next step? Do I have the right skills for this? How do I ask for opportunities and convince people to that I can take on more responsibility? And I had heard a lot of positive feedback about the Wisdom Mentorship program from past participants. So I really jumped at the chance to be able to participate in that. And quite honestly, I was looking at that program in terms of the course content more so than the mentorship component, but very quickly realized that the course content is really the tip of the iceberg, and the opportunity to be matched with a mentor such as Leann, so someone who is a top 100 award winner, has lots of experience, kind of been there, done that, like just as Leann's comment of she's glad she's past my point in her career. Like it's great to be able to have someone like Leann to share their experiences and their perspective and their honesty. And it's a really powerful way to be able to connect with someone and realize that, I'm not alone in my journey. I'm looking for the next step in my career. And I knew I wanted to be on that career path. I didn't exactly know how to do it, and I need some help. And I was looking for a tool to do that. And I guess to answer the question is, I wasn't sure that a mentor was how I would get there. But I certainly learned quickly that that's what I needed. And that's been a really great connection to be able to meet Leann and also others that have been involved in this program. So
that's great. And you're right, we always think that we're alone and that, we're the only ones facing these challenges and that we have to do it alone, but we don't. And I think that's another great thing to have to have a mentor to talk to, not just about your career, but I know for myself, it's turned into kind of for personal challenges as well, balancing and, work and life and everything that comes along with trying to advance your career. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, Erin, because it's really important to know that you are not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a big thing. And I mean, especially, as a mom and a parent and having a family, and well, what does that mean, right? If you take on more responsibility at work, how does that impact home? And to know that, there's other women that have gone through that is and had success, and just how that can happen is really helpful.
So did you have those conversations then together about how, being a mom and a career woman and how to work through that? Were those some of the conversations that you would have had?
Yeah, I mean, I had asked Leann
as well.
Yeah, how she does that. And I mean, I think, she's quite honest in that it's hard, it doesn't paint a rosy picture that, oh yeah, it's great, no problem, I can do this. And I think that honesty is really important, because I think sometimes people, just need that real perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Say it's hard, but, there's, kids are resilient, and they can, they admire moms at work. And so it's the honesty is really important in the conversation.
Okay. So Leann, what kind of advice did you offer Erin with regards to the balancing and the mother and career woman?
Well, I find that balance word funny somewhat, because I don't know how to balance things really. I try, but I don't know if I'm good at it. I work out of the house, and when you have kids with COVID issues and they're all working from home, I mean, it's not an easy balance. But I think life is just. To me, honestly, the best thing to do is live one day at a time, because that's all you have and that's all you can control. if you can even control that. But, you know, so I think talking with Erin, it is nice to know, like, it doesn't matter what part of your career you're in, you're balancing something. You're trying to put all these balls in the air and hope you don't drop them all at the same time. So, you know, I think we just had some good conversations, and to know that you're okay. You're not a failure. I think women so often go to, I'm failing this, I'm failing that, I suck here. And it's like, stop beating yourself up. One woman told me once, she said, if you treated yourself or your friend as bad as you treat yourself, you wouldn't have that friend. That's pretty good advice, because we're our worst enemy, right? So it's like having women around you to say, you know what, you're doing well. You can't do 100%. Nobody can. You're doing as well as you can given the circumstances. So just keep going.
Yes. And you know what, that never ends, right? Throughout your career and how in your life, how you treat yourself, when you really have to step back and say, you know what, I'm doing okay. It's all right. And to have the circle of women around you through WXN or through the mentorship program is a wonderful thing to have. I can speak honestly from experience through this whole COVID thing and even prior to that. So it's really important. So Leann, why did you become a mentor? When we emailed you and said, hey, our top 100 wisdom program is starting again, why did you agree?
Well, at first I was thinking, oh no, how much time is this going to take? And so then when I talked to one of your staff, I thought, okay, you know what? I can do that. I mean, if in advance, you know, these are the dates, this is the time, this is a commitment. I said, I can work in that. And I thought, honestly, I have never been a mentor formally. And I just thought, jeepers, you know, I had informal mentors in my life. And I thought, well, what the heck, let's try it out. So, you know, that was really, there wasn't anything very sophisticated about why I decided to do it, other than the opportunity was there. Why not? Just try it. And I've always been a firm believer of helping women entrepreneurs and women in business and just women in general. I see the power of when women are in a room together and the honesty that they have. I do know, I mean, men can be great mentors too. I just find that the authenticity when a woman is talking to another woman without a man in the room is just deeper. And so I just thought, well, you know, for me, it'll help me be a better leader. And hopefully I have something to contribute. So that's why.
So your mentors in the past, were they female or were they men or both?
Both. I just, I've had strong leaders on both sides. I've never actively sought anybody out. They just kind of, whether they were through just life or work, you know?
Okay, great. Okay, so back to you, Erin. Can you tell me, so let's just talk about some of the lessons that you've learned from Leann. Can you just give us some examples of what you've learned over the last year in working with Leann?
Yeah, sure. So one of, one of the things that I learned from Leann is one of our first conversations, and she was describing her start in working with an alderman and and then evolved into where she is now. And one of the things that she said was something to the effect of, you know, if I tried to predict where I am now based on where I started, I would never have predicted that. And something along the lines of the advice was, don't try to predict, just try new things. And I that really resonated with me then, and definitely resonates a lot with me now, is, you know, because I think I've struggled sometimes with trying to, you know, we're kind of taught to answer those questions of where do you want to be in 5 years and 10 years and what do you want to do? And I've seen so many examples of very linear career trajectories where people, you know, especially I have a lot of examples in my industry where you're a technical professional and then a project manager or team lead, frontline leader, and then progress into a business leader and vice president and so forth. And they, you know, if you look at someone's career trajectory, sometimes they look very linear and very well planned out, and you think, well, people just obviously know what they want to do. But I think, so Leann's comment just really put me at ease, because I really struggled with figuring out what my next steps are and what I wanted to do, because I've always taken on roles that, you know, I've always enjoyed everything I've done. And it made me think, well, maybe I don't know what I want to do. If I do this, I like this. And if I do that, I also like that. So the comment really put me at ease and helped me recognize that, you know, you don't have to know everything right now. You can try a few things, see if they stick. And if they don't, you know, get out of there. And if they do stick, then keep going with that. And I think that was just a really powerful lesson I learned from her.
Great, thank you. So I just have another question for you, Erin, because I know that you're seeking other opportunities now, correct?
Correct, that's correct.
So how does that work in your whole conversation with Leann and what you've learned through the wisdom program? Like, what's your next step? What do you want to do now? Has it changed, or have you pretty much stayed the course?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. You know, I think you know, kind of on the lines of what you know, I just said earlier, is don't try to predict, just try new things. It resonated with me, you know, a year ago, but it resonates with me very much now, because you know, the energy industry is challenged right now, I guess, so to speak. And, you know, I'm in good company with a lot of others who are seeking new opportunity. And so with that, it just enables me to kind of broaden my horizons and think, well, you know, I can use the leadership skills I've developed, you know, on my platform as being a geologist and a technical leader, but where else could I develop those? So it's, I wouldn't say change my trajectory in terms of me wanting to pursue other leadership opportunities, but it's definitely broadened my spectrum of where I could pursue those. I mean, you can lead in so many different ways in industries, leading teams of volunteers, leading through influence. And so I think, you know, me especially, it's a good time to be able to have known Leann, to know that there's other things other than the energy industry. And I mean, I love working in energy and would definitely love to continue that. But I think there's a lot of great transferable skills that can be used as well. So I think trusting that whatever skills you build up, you can take them anywhere, and trust that if you do things that you love and live by your values, you'll find success.
Great. Thank you very much. So, Leann, what kind of lessons have you learned from Erin? Because it is a two-way street, mentorship. So I'm just curious, what have you learned?
I know for me coming in there initially, because I'm so used to driving stuff myself, whether it's as a mom or whether it's as, you know, running business or being in charge of stuff. And so for me to just show up and to listen and to just let her drive was something I had to learn, because I just thought, okay, this isn't this. I mean, the beauty of your program was she had a list of things she was supposed to get done that day. She came with, this is what I need to find out. This is what our challenges, like what we're supposed to talk about today. I thought, oh, it's great, makes my job easy. So, you know, she came very focused, and I think every single time went away with exactly what she needed. As far as, you know, because she came in with very clear goals and objectives. And I think for me, that was a big learning too, like just sitting back and listening and just being able to, I don't know it all. I just know what I know. And so just helping plug in holes for her where, you know, hopefully they would be helpful. And at the end of the day, I mean, she needs to choose what resonates with her. And I know from being a parent that kids take what they want and ignore the rest. So I'm cool with that. I know that, you know, maybe 5% is going to stick, but hope, you know, that to me was a big learning. I loved Erin's energy. Like, she has so much interest. She really has a passion to, like, she has her team that she had. It was clear that she had a real passion for helping them, for mentoring them. And I think that that's pretty awesome, because, you know, this, I mean, it's not early in her career, but it still is relatively early. And to have someone that committed to even helping those around her, that's awesome. So, you know, I think that was a great learning to see as well from my perspective.
Great, thank you. So you talked about challenges, you know, some of the and you're absolutely right. Our wisdom mentoring program is all about the mentee really does lead the conversation with our mentors and comes prepared with what they want to talk about. So you had mentioned, you know, she came to you all prepared with challenges that she was facing. So I'm looking back to you now, Erin. Can you just tell us, you know, some of the challenges you were facing and how it felt to have a mentor by your side when you were going through it? Because I'm sure you were going through some really solid changes at that point in time.
Yeah, for sure. It's first of all, I guess just thank you to Leann for thinking I'm very well organized. And sometimes I think you don't feel that, or I don't feel that way. So I appreciate hearing that.
See, we're all worst enemies. See,
exactly. Just like she said, have I learned anything? I don't know. But yeah, in terms of challenging, I mean, yeah, definitely lots of examples. I mean, at the time when I met Leann, you know, I had just taken on a role of more responsibility. So I was very grateful for that. And I was working, in a time, our industry in oil and gas has a lot of changes, right? Our organization had been going through changes for a long time. We lost a lot of great employees. And, with that, I was leading a team that, was struggling with that, frankly. I mean, there's years of organizational change, lots of stress, lots of, wondering what's next. They lost their, I took a position from a leader that was very well respected and liked. So, I mean, there's challenges there to step into, really, really big shoes. And, I wanted
Erin?
to, sorry.
Erin, can you just tell us the audience where you were working and
of course,
what your position was, just so they're kind of getting a perspective of where you're coming from there.
For sure. So I worked at CNOOC, the Chinese National Offshore Oil and Gas Company, CNOOC North America, which is formerly known as Nexen. And my role was a geoscience manager in the North American division. So I led a team of about 16 people of various disciplines: geologists, geophysicists, technologists, students, and various different levels, senior folks, as well as students and new grads just coming out of university. So a lot of diversity, I guess, in the team. And so just, a lot of leadership challenges in trying to lead through change and, enable and empower people to just bring their best foot forward every day during some of these times of uncertainty. And so, in terms of how, so that kind of sets the stage. And in terms of how it felt to, have a mentor by my side, I think that it comes back to that concept of, to know that there's a lot of comfort for me to know that I'm not alone in anything I do or any decision that I make. I mean, I had lost a lot of mentors within my own organization as they moved on to new opportunities. And it does feel a little bit like you're alone, even if they're outside the organization, they're not right there beside you. And, so there's a lot of new experiences, I guess, I was faced with to lead and not have as many people to look up to for guidance within the organization. And, so having someone by your side to kind of know that they have your back and you're not alone is really important. I had one friend and mentor who used to joke with me that I would sometimes answer my own questions. I would come to her with a leadership problem and I'd say, this is what I think I should do. This is the issue. I could do this. I could do that. I could go talk to this person. And she'd sit there and listen to me and say, well, I think you just came up with your own answer. So just go do it. And, from my perspective, she did a lot more than just sit there and listen. But I think it's that comfort, and there's a lot of comfort in having a sounding board, someone to help build your confidence, that you know what you need to do already, and know that if you take a risk, if you make a hard decision, if you go out on a limb, you're not doing it alone, you're supported. And I think that's a really important thing that we need to enable and empower other people in order to grow future leaders, is that, and just everyone, just help make sure that people know that they're supported in their decisions, and that, there's a safe place to be able to go talk to a mentor about these kind of things to enable you to trust yourself, that you can make these decisions and know that someone will support you as you do that.
Great, thank you. So during that time, how did you and Leann work together? Because I know there was probably a lot of fear within Nexon with regards to all the layoffs. I mean, I was watching, and I know a few people in your organization. So how did those conversations go? And tell me how Leann helped you through that.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of Leann not knowing anything about the oil and gas or about the company is I could, you know, be pretty honest to kind of set the stage of what the situation was and what some of the challenges were. So I would, you know, maybe describe some of the challenges associated with leading through change and leading through a lot of uncertainty. And you know, one of the challenges I always felt was just trying to get my team recognized by senior leaders and make sure that they're visible, right? I mean, if you have, I think that's a challenge in any organization. If you're, you know, have a few different layers, you're trying to make your team visible and recognized at high levels for their contributions. And so, you know, I guess I would go to Leann with kind of a few problems of the day when we had our sessions, and you know, she would offer her 2 cents of just how to you know, one of the things I remember her helping me with was you know, I'd always kind of think of, well, how do I support my team? And then she really gave me the perspective of, you know, well, what are the other, you know, what's in it for the other leaders? Like, how do you kind of get them to recognize that value and have those honest conversations and just ask them, just say, I mean, I think she was pretty clear when the conversation, she said, well, just ask them, you know, what they need, what they want to see in people. And it's so obvious, but, you know, sometimes you don't think about that. You're in your own head, and then you really need someone to help you get out of your head and think of a different alternative of how to move forward. So
you think it's a big secret, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out not to be such a big, yeah. So I'm just keeping a watch on the time here. I think we have about 7 minutes until the questions and answers. I want to go back to Leann. So how do you think that Erin has helped you to become a better mentor?
Well, I think
because you said you'd never done this before, right? This was your first formal mentoring. Is that correct? Yeah. So I'm just curious. Yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. So getting one under my belt, at least I kind of get how it works, you know, and where—
I'm sure you knew what you were doing. See,
she did. She was fine.
Now you're doing it. See, Erin, right?
Yeah.
Smacked me upside the head.
You were just telling us not to do that.
Well, okay, so I had never gone through a formal, as a mentor, I had never been a formal one. That's correct. But, you know, for me, you know, even talking through when Erin would ask me a question, I thought, oh, you know, I don't know. So I'd have to actually talk through my head. And just like what she's saying, you know, in your head, you've got all this stuff going on and you think, maybe I'm nuts, maybe I'm not, I don't know. But as it comes out, you go, I never really thought of it that way. So I think even talking through some of the situations that I had gone through as examples, you start to think, I could have done that differently, or maybe that's exactly what I should have done. That's good, you know, pat yourself on the back. So I think that just articulating some of this out loud is helpful as you go forward, because you might even change your behavior in the future based on what you've verbalized to your mentee. So I think that was something that kind of helped me just be more precise in analyzing situations.
So would you mentor again?
Yeah.
Formal? I'm putting you on the spot. Yes, you are this year, right?
I'm not signing up today, am I? But honestly, if someone is watching this, and first of all, because you're going to throw up 100 reasons why I can't do it. So the first one would be the time. Honestly, it wasn't a huge time commitment because you've got the agenda, your mentee comes prepared. It wasn't a huge commitment, but I do think, and you're hearing both from Erin and I, there was value for both of us. And so it is something worth looking at, definitely.
Great, thank you. And Erin, the program, what was the value of the whole program for you? I mean, the mentorship you said was great. It wasn't really something that you'd really thought about at the very beginning. You were thinking more of the course content, but what about the course content? How did that resonate with you? Did it help you in your journey?
Yeah, it definitely did. I guess first, I think it's really funny that, Leann and I are here to talk about the mentor-mentee relationship, and Leann had never formally mentored before, and I wasn't sure that I was looking for a mentor. So this kind of just shows the purpose of mentorship is, bringing people together to enable and help each other. And, I think we accomplished that. And I think that's really exciting part of this program, right? Is just trying something new that you've never done before. So yeah, and in terms of the course content, I think it was really empowering and really well laid out. I mean, there was a section on, one of my favorite things was a section on, I call it a career passion chart. I can't remember what it was formerly called in the course, but you kind of map out your own career and say, when did you have your highs and lows? And it really, for me, that was really helpful because it enabled me to recognize where I found drive and motivation, and when I was really energized and when I wasn't. And for me, it came down to really the leader that I worked for was very important, so that if I was had autonomy and able to make decisions myself, whatever level I was in, that was really important to me. And the people was working with great people was really important. And, that was really eye-opening because it made me recognize things that I enjoyed, things I didn't, and could articulate that a lot more clearly. And what that really helped me to do is have conversations with my leaders, both my direct leader and, all the way up to my VP level, and say, hey, you know what, this is what I really am good at. This is what I'm energized by. And I'd like to do more of it. And, here's some ideas that I could do to help with. And I think that's something that's really important as whatever kind of career path people go on, is to be able to articulate what you want and what you can contribute to somebody who can make that decision, who can help enable you to put that in place. I mean, it's a bit of the principles of assertiveness that maybe especially females aren't always as good at, right? To be able to articulate what you want and ask for it. And so I really found a lot of power in that, and gained a lot of confidence. And right now, I mean, being in career transition, I feel like I got a big head start by participating in this program, because I had a lot of tools, and now, working with a career coach to figure out my next steps, I can leverage a lot of these tools and feel like I'm ahead of the game and really confident, to go out and it's an uncertain time, but I go from feeling, it just, you're more empowered if you can decide, okay, well, here's a few things I'm interested in and I'm going to try to go for it. So.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for that.
For sure.
Okay, I think we are, okay, before we go to the questions, I'm going to ask some fun questions before we say goodbye later. So these are the questions that were not on your sheet when you first got them. Okay, so we've been going through some challenges, I mean, globally, the last few weeks, months, and it's been a very uncertain time, but I want to ask you, during the shutdown or the quarantine, whatever you want to call it, the lockdown, what was your go-to comfort food? During
Other
the
than
shutdown?
everything?
Yeah. I'm always curious because people have changed, right? This whole pandemic has changed a lot of people's perspectives and how they look at life now. But I'm curious, when we were shut down, what was your go-to food? Just one, quickly.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter?
Mine was wine. I guess it's not a food.
It's
wine
kind of grapes.
Yeah, grapes.
Look, okay, good. Someone just said potatoes on the chat thing, potatoes, because they're grounding.
Yeah.
Mine was anything like potatoes, or like potatoes actually, again, like potato chips, or I made a lot of homemade bread, which I hadn't done since the early 90s. So I don't know what that was all about, but I think if everybody just wanted to feel comfort, right? They needed to feel in that really good space of being comfortable and everything's going to be okay. So it was interesting. So what did you miss the most during the shutdown? And maybe you still miss it. What do you miss?
For me, it was interacting with people, right? I mean, I led a team, a large team, and you know, we would see each other in the hallways, we'd see each other in meetings, and I didn't get to see people face to face, right? So you know, we did a lot of things like this, like virtual meetings, and you know, you get to be creative to try to find ways to connect with people when you can't do it face to face. So that's kind of an exciting new tool, I think, for people. To not be afraid of the distance. But yeah, I definitely miss the interaction with people.
I think for me, it was freedom, just freedom to be spontaneous, you know, freedom to just run outside and do something and go see someone, and now having to be so calculated and not being able to have that freedom. I think that's the part that I miss the most.
Yeah, I think that was a big one for me too. I think especially being an entrepreneur, you kind of have that in you where it's like, no, I want to do this. I don't want to be shut in. I want to go here. I want to go there. Right? I want to cross the border. Yeah, that was a big thing for me. Another thing was I really missed my waxing because I was starting to look like my father with a unibrow. I know that sounds really trivial, but honestly,
oh no, hair, getting rid of your gray hair, all those things are very important. I understand.
Yeah, so luckily I found these Shoppers Drug Mart, these little strips that you can, and the first time was horrible. I had to cover up my bangs as my one eyebrow was missing. So anyway, so I digress. And then one last question, we're gonna get there soon. I know my team is waiting on me. With just being shut down and not being able to go anywhere and travel, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? And why?
I myself love beaches. I would go on a beach near an ocean and just enjoy the breeze.
See, and those are some things we miss, right? It's interesting. Mm-hmm. Erin?
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of trips planned for 2020. So we really like traveling, so it's hard to narrow it down. But I mean, you know, going to, so we had a trip to Europe planned that we're not doing to see some distant family. And so be able to, yeah, just that things that we take for granted now of just, you know, being in big urban centers with a lot of people close to you, you know, being on trains and buses and, you know, that kind of thing. I think it won't be the same again. So I'll miss that, just that big historic, going to a nice historic country.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies. All right, we're going to be going now to our questions. See if I can do this right. I might need Gary to hop on here. Am I looking in the chat?
Yes, it can be, you can either enter your questions into the chat or the Q&A window.
Okay. Let me take a look here. Okay. Just 1 second. Sorry, Gary's right here. Just a minute. I'm in the chat. Sorry. This is technology, and so everybody just bear with me here.
So Sherri, there is a question from Tara Williams.
Oh, Tara Williams. Sorry. Okay. Yes. Thank you. I'm glad my team's behind the scenes here. How does the course curriculum and the mentoring program interact? To all panelists. Do you do these modules and then discuss them with your mentor?
Yeah, I can answer that because I guess I was a part of both, and Leann wasn't in the course part. Yeah, it is very set up that way. It's very well organized. So there's specific, you know, there's a specific one-day portions of the course. Like one went through career, your strengths, your career trajectory, and so forth. And then with that, there were some specific questions or just insights that you could share with your mentor and talk about it. So they were really designed as you have the course and then a mentorship meeting kind of right after that in between the sessions. So there was some structure in that you could, especially at the first one, to say this is what, these are some things to talk about. And then after that, it was just more organically weaving in the course material with your own career challenges that you wanted to talk to your mentor about.
Okay, great. Okay, I have one here, a new message. Sorry, just 1 second. Something came through email. What are the clear expectations of a mentee, and does it change depending on what the person is looking for? So I'm going to try to answer this. Clear expectation of the mentee. As far as I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to answer this.
I guess go ahead.
No, go ahead, Leann.
Well, I'm just curious. I don't know what the process is up front. Like, did Erin, did you have to fill out a form and say exactly what you're looking for in a mentor or to be menteed?
Yeah, it was a part. So there's an application as part of the process. So for me, I was nominated by my company, CNOC, to be part of it. And then there's an application with what you're looking for in a mentor, and anywhere from, do you want someone to be physically in the same city as you, or what kind of industry, and what are your challenges. So there were to enable the match is what I think the purpose of that was.
Probably, Sherri, you're going to see a difference in answering that question now too, because I think traditionally people said, no, I want the person in my city. And I think because of how we've lived the past few months, that becomes a little more irrelevant.
Yeah, it has. So next year's, the 2021 program is going to be virtual. We were thinking for the majority of the year. So it's opened it up to, all of Canada and the world, actually. So you're absolutely right that a mentor match could look very, very different. And as well, to your point earlier, we try our best to do the mentor matching, but sometimes, it's not a perfect match. I'm not going to say perfect, but because if you're from a different industry, like you said today, it's not always the case, right? Like it's also good to have somebody with a different perspective, like you said earlier. So we try to do our best, but sometimes it's good to have somebody different who's from a different industry, or even, So I think that's something that we look at, but, we have another question. Sorry, I'm just looking at this too. Leann, as a mentor, were there any tools or support from the program that you were given to better understand your role and have support, et cetera?
Yeah, up front when they launched the program, I remember getting a bit of it's like a toolkit or a guide to say what your role, what your expectations are. So there were some tips, definitely. But to be honest, I only referred to them up front to kind of get my head around what I was, the expectations were. Probably should have gone back even interim to just double check, make sure I was doing a good job. But I never felt like I was hanging out to dry that, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to be doing? You do have a confidence going in that they've done their homework with the mentee. And like I said, the mentee comes prepared. So it makes it a lot easier on you.
That's
I would say, I would say that's a pretty clear part of the program, is just the mentee, that Sherri had said this earlier, the mentee leads the relationship, right? And that's very clearly set out. And same with me, I hadn't had a formal mentor before. I've had informal mentors that I probably would forget to call my mentor because, I just met them. And so it's a new experience, for me as a mentee to be matched very formally. But I think, kind of to your comment, Leann, about, maybe you should have gone through and read it later. I don't, from my perspective, I don't think so. I think that's kind of how it happens organically. Certainly there's, it's a tool that's available, but that's part of, I think, the evolution of your relationship with a mentor and mentee, is that, you know, the tools are there at the beginning to enable that relationship to develop. And then it's not necessary in all cases to, you know, keep kind of crossing the T's and dotting the I's, I think. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it.
And as you're talking, I seem to remember as we would meet, I know I always we had to get through her questions. It's like, okay, let's talk through those agenda, check them, you know, check. We got through that. So you're good to go back. And then we would just chat.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was kind of formal and informal, those meetings.
Okay, that's great. See, here is another one. How often should someone touch base or meet with their mentor? I know we had set rules, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I just think we went according to the calendar. Like you had to, Erin, you had meetings that you had already pre-scheduled, and anytime before that we had to meet. So we just kind of went by the guidelines.
It was 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay. Did you do any more than that, or did you stick with the 4 times a year?
We might have emailed, but I mean, we didn't meet more than the 4 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you know, it depends maybe on that question, you know, how often. I think it depends. You know, I guess I've been in other mentorship programs on the other side in my organization through a new graduate program, and you know, the feedback is always, you know, have some structure, so it's not too, like 4 times a year is just so you don't lose that relationship. But you know, there may be times when you need to do it more if you have a challenge, or it depends on the connection, and being respectful of your mentor's time, right? I mean, everyone's busy, and so you don't want to you know, I don't want to be going to Leann every 2 weeks with my with my problems.
Telling her to lose my number. No, just
kidding. So what's next? What are the next steps for you, Erin? Where are you at now in your quest?
Yeah, it's it is a good question. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for new leadership opportunities, and you know, whether that's leading volunteer, like I'm looking into one of the pieces of advice I got was looking at just volunteer positions where I could lead a group of volunteers and give back to my profession. So I'm looking forward to opportunities like that as a way to also, you know, just give back and help an organization while I'm looking for a paid employment and gain, you know, some great skills and meet some new people that way. So I'm looking forward to doing that with some of my professional organizations, and yeah, just looking for other opportunities to develop my leadership capabilities and connect with people. So we'll see. It's uncertain times, but keep a positive head.
Well, you never know. I mean, you never know the connections, right? There's a whole audience out there watching us today who there may be somebody there that knows of an opportunity. So we have to be asking for opportunities and not shy away from them. So anybody out there can help Erin, let her know.
Thank you.
And has your relationship continued? We have 1 minute, more minutes. Has your relationship continued beyond the formal program?
We reached out. I didn't know about Erin's, you know, change in situation till after it happened, and so we did have a chance to chat about that, and just and I mean, I welcome her, you know, to stay in touch, obviously, because it's good. I mean, you know, I consider Erin a friend now, and I want her to succeed. So hopefully, you know, if I ever come across anything, of course, I'm going to reach out to her too. So.
Yeah,
great.
And it's good. You know, when I, you know, found myself in career transition, you know, I definitely wanted to reach out to Leann to let her know, but also just, you know, to keep that connection. I mean, it's, you know, to keep that connection and listen to, you know, what other ideas she might have. And yeah, and I mean, she has a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and I think that's important, especially when people are in transition, to be able to connect with people that give positivity, right? And so for me, that's really important too, and I'm appreciative of that. So.
Exactly. Well, thank you. I really appreciate this today. Thank you, ladies, for taking your time. I know you're both very busy, and I really thank you. WXN thanks you. I thank you, and I'm sure the audience was thrilled to get some of the advice and feedback from your experience in the WXN Wisdom Mentoring Program. So thank you again, ladies. Have a wonderful day and week and a long weekend. I guess it's coming up. So be safe and talk later.
Yep. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Before everybody leaves, I just have a few things to review with you. If you could just hold tight. I see we still have 27 on the line. Please hold tight just for a second. Oh, 26. We just want to let you know that there are more upcoming Words of Wisdom events coming up next week, Wednesday, August the 12th, the 19th, 26th, September the 10th, and leading into 16th. We will have an opportunity on September the 16th to speak with Melissa McRae. She is actually the course instructor, and she is from the BD School of Business, Simon Fraser University out of BC. So please keep look and keep watch for the rest of the WOW events that are coming up shortly. Again, top 100 nominations. This will be probably the last time we see this. Our deadline, final deadline is August the 3rd. So if you are in the audience and you have submitted a nomination, please make sure that you complete it by August the 3rd. We really are looking forward to this year's award winners and celebrating with them in December. Again, if you're interested in joining a powerful community, please become part of WXN. We have some great things coming up besides our events. There's the Wisdom Mentoring Program, along with there's the Leadership Summit in December. There's just a whole lot of other things coming up that you can get involved in. If you want to connect with us, here's our social handles. We welcome anybody to reach out, and we want to thank you, Loblaws, our Loblaw companies, our national partner, and our other corporate partners as well. We wouldn't be able to do what we do at WXN without them, so we're very honored to have them. Some more virtual upcoming events. Our Summer Sizzle with WXN continues July 30th, August 20th, and August 27th, so please join us for those events. They're a lot of fun. And you can learn a lot about how to arm yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, for whatever is coming up next for us here in the fall. We have an exciting new program called Monday Mojo with WXN coming out in September with our top 100 WXN ambassadors. And this starts in September and it actually runs to December 2021. It is a weekly chat with our WXN ambassadors, so please stay tuned for that. And again, we're going to be looking at our Unite and Rise webinar series in the fall, part 3 and part 4. Part 3 will be in October, part 4 will be in November, so please keep coming back to our website as we update it. We've been updating it quite a bit lately to keep our community engaged and together as we go through these challenges. And then Canada's Most Powerful Women Top 100 celebration, December 2nd. We're going to have our Top 100 Virtual Leadership Summit, and December 3rd, we'll have our Top 100 Virtual Awards Gala. So please keep a lookout for that, and please join us. And the Wisdom Mentoring Program applications open September 7th. It is a year-long program, runs from January to December 2021. If you're a member, you can participate in the program for $900 or 3 equal payments of $300. If you're a non-member, it's $1,200 with 3 equal payments of $400. So please consider joining. You can gather more information on our website. And then our virtual book club continues up into December, so please keep a lookout for that as well. And that's it. Thank you, everybody, for attending our webinar, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks at our next Words of Wisdom. Bye-bye.